for today's episode because it is a new month. We have new energy. We have got a new opportunity at making this the best month ever. Like I always want you to be in competition with you. And today on the show, we're going to talk about how to make a ridiculous amount of money this month. So, if that is something that interests you, this is the perfect show for you today. I'm so excited that you're here and tuning in. Boone just literally wants to take over. Oh, I thought waking up would be a good idea, and then my kids are like, "No, we want to be around you." But that's okay. I always say like, "Okay, one day you're going to miss this. One day you're going to miss this. One day you're going to miss this." So, how can we make a ridiculous amount of money this month? Well, first, do you even desire that? If it's a yes, then we're one step closer. So, say yes, yes, yes. I pulled a card this morning. I have these really fun quote cards, and I pulled one this morning, and it was quite perfect because it said optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. And that's from Mary Lou Retton. And I think that's even like truly, it is exactly a match for sales, for more money. So many women are so afraid to be salesy that they just stay small. They don't go and invite people. They don't ask people. They don't put themselves out there because they're so afraid of judgment. So we've really got to work through that and find your flavor that feels good to you to go after big money goals. So everyone's going to be different. I know people making amazing money in the stock market, in real estate, right? So you don't see them necessarily always on social media because they have a different money strategy. But we absolutely get to up our money strategy so that we can make more money. With that being said, you also get to be an energetic match for that more money, which means a better, more improved mindset, your environment, which we've been talking so much about, the activities that you're doing. Are you even passionate about what you're doing, what you're selling? So all of this makes you either not an energetic match or an energetic match. And it's just a matter of time. So every single month, my goal is that you're making more and more and more and more. So it's, oh my gosh, I just had my best month over. I just had my best month ever. And if we're not having that, then we can really start to look at, okay, like what is in the gap? Like what is holding you back from increasing that revenue? And then we can address that, get that out of your way, and then continue to progress month after month after month. Even if it goes by like $500, 1,000, we always want it to be growing and compounding. That is the name of the game when it comes to money, because then the more we have overflow, then we can do more with that overflow for your essentially for your money to have babies. Right? Either investing it in a business, investing it in the stock market, investing it in real estate. That's how your money can start to make babies and have more and more and more money without you having to work so hard is the goal. So I really want you to think about, yes, I want this, and then being really, really honest with yourself on every home front. Like, what is holding you back from making more money? Is it your mindset? Is it your product? Is it your environment? Is it the people around you? So that, like, environment would be like more like um, objects, and then people would be people, obviously. So we really want to be honest with ourselves, because if nothing changes, nothing will change. You'll say, oh my gosh, yes, Natalie, I want to have my best month ever, here's the money goal that I want. And if we don't make radical changes, right, if we don't make big ass moves, we can't expect big ass money. And so we really have got to be honest with ourselves, and this is the perfect day to do this, because this is a short month. So we've got to make every day, every minute count, and make sure that we're upping our game, right? You already are worthy of an infinite amount of money. It just may not be yours yet for a number of reasons. And so we want to really like start to dig into those, like, okay, why? Right? It's not a worthiness thing. Okay. So just take that off the table. It's more practical. Like, okay, could I handle if somebody gave me $10,000, would I feel safe? Right. So it's emotional regulation. Would I feel safe getting $10,000 today? Would I know what to do with it? Um, Also, then, like, let's say you get a flood, like that $10,000 is a flood of 1,000 people in your business. Would you have the systems ready for that? And be honest with yourself, like, oh my gosh, no, like we would like figure it out. That's not an answer. That means it's a no, right? Unless there's a plan in place, unless there's automation, unless there's systems, unless there's like a dedicated team member of like, yes, if Oprah shouted us out today, I call this the Oprah effect, we would be ready to go, and then here's how. Okay. So the more we can get ready for big money, the big money will come. Like, that's the coolest part. And so many people spend so much time being like, oh, I'm not at $10,000 months. I'm so frustrated. And that's what we keep attracting: lack, 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 rather than, okay, I'm going to step into abundance and really get ready for that $10,000 month, or get ready for that $1 million year, or get ready for paying off all the debt. The more we can get in alignment from an energy standpoint, you will then create that reality. It's just a matter of time. And the more you do this, you'll see it. You'll be like, "Oh my gosh, she is so right. It works." I was having one of our students was messaging me one-on-one yesterday, because I've been supporting her and like literally giving her a play-by-play. I want you to do this, and then she comes back to me. I want you to do this, and then she comes back to me. And she's so coachable, and I'm so proud of her. And she came back to me yesterday, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it works." And I'm like, "Isn't it great?" Like, the recipe works when you follow the recipe. And we can keep making the recipe better and better and better. That's like any true chef, right? Every chef is making their recipes better. They're always in the kitchen. They're always experimenting, right? They're obsessed with their craft. And that's how I want you to become when it comes to money, because when you can master money, you become the most powerful woman in your life. Truly. When you can master money, think about it. It is the gateway to everything else. Almost think about like how much screen time you have on your phone, either like scrolling, or even like, let's go to Netflix. How much time do we like do Netflix? I had a really hard, I don't want to say hard, but I had a come to Jesus moment with myself last weekend, because um, I got home from a girls' night, and it was so fun, and I was just excited to like cuddle with my babies, and then we were like sitting on the couch, and like everyone was starting to unwind, and I was like, okay, like out of habit, I'm going to grab the remote and like find something to binge and just like essentially like numb out, right? Like just mindless Netflix. And I was scrolling Netflix, and I couldn't find anything that like strikes my fancy. And I was like, okay, I have no Netflix that like something that excites me. The kids are playing. Boone was like sleeping, and so I remembered that I was a part of the Tony Robbins thing last week, and it was just about to start. And I was like, "Oh, perfect! Like, I committed to this. I wanted to be a part of this." And so I pressed watch video. That was, I can't even tell you, the best use of my time. Like, I instantly increased my energy. The ideas were like exploding. Um, that was a really pivotal day in my business. Like, I made some really big ass moves last Saturday. Like ridiculous. And it's because my energy increased because of like what I was consuming. Now, do I think that Netflix is like bad? No, I love Netflix. I will watch Netflix in the future. However, I had this aha moment. How much time am I allocating to Netflix or any other like activities like that versus like my big goals? And is that in alignment with my wealthy life, with my future? And just I was just doing a check-in with myself of like really making sure I'm making the best use of my time even when I'm off, right? Because I wasn't necessarily quote unquote working like learning is relaxing to me. Like I love to learn. And also like learning a new hobby, learning a new skill, like that is valuable even just for me as a human being, regardless of being like a businesswoman, doing fun things with my kids rather than just like sitting and watching Netflix. So I just like had this like really true check in with myself last Saturday of like making sure that like my actions are very much in alignment across the board and paying more attention to them. So like for example, let's say you scroll on social media, it adds up, y'all. So let's say you scroll on social media, we're not making that a bad activity, we're just neutralizing it, but information is power. So let's say you on your screen time, it says 15 hours from last week. That's like a part-time job. You are scrolling social media, right? As a part-time job. I have turned on my screen time because I like really like to be aware of it. Even being like an online marketer, I don't need to be on that much on social media to be effective. There's a lot of automation that we do. And so I can't use that as an excuse. And so, with that being said, let's just say you took 5 of those hours away and allocated them somewhere else. We are so worried about like budgeting our money. Like everyone I talk to, oh my gosh, I got to budget better. I got to budget better. Are we like, can we be more worried about your time? Because like budgeting, I have a lot of beliefs about budgeting, which let's make that its own show because I have so many beliefs about that and feelings about that, and I want you to know mine because I think it's a different, unique perspective that I think you could appreciate. It's definitely changed my life. So let's talk about budgeting your time though. Can we pay more attention to that? Because how you spend your time can create more money that you just have this ridiculous overflow that you don't necessarily have to budget because there's just always more than enough, right? You don't have to like penny pinch. So it's like if we actually paid more attention to the bigger problem, right? Then we could get better results. Like it's almost like we're focusing on the wrong thing, expecting to get the results that we want if we focused on the other thing. So the more we can focus on how you're spending your time and getting really fucking picky about it, you can actually master money so much better. I talk all the time about creating CEO time. Like literally, I'm so excited today. I've got a huge chunk of time. It's the first day of the month. I'm like, I am going off site with Boone. We're going to like grab some food and like I am going and like as much as I can, putting my head down and like preparing to win. That is the name of the game, right? Preparing to win. And so that felt really good to me. I also then was like, "Oh, I really wanted to go to Target." I'm like, "Does that align with my priorities right now? I can go to Target this weekend, right? That's a very easy thing that I can run to Target really quickly this weekend." So, it would be a better use of my time today, right? To focus on setting myself up, setting my company up for success. We had a 2-hour meeting yesterday, which I don't do really any meetings anymore. I'm very, very picky. But we had a 2-hour launch prep meeting as a team yesterday, really like diving deep into like what has been working, what has not been working, what can we do better, what are the gaps from a team perspective, like just laying it all out, very non-emotional of just like this is what we need to win, just as much as for like a football team, right? That's really how I've been looking at my company is who are the players, right, on the field. I'm the coach standing on the sidelines, right? Like I get in the game, but I also need to, as the CEO, I need to like step back and look at the game and say, okay, like I don't have a quarterback. How are we going to score if I don't have a quarterback, right? So really just taking it a step up. And these are conversations I wasn't having a year ago. So I'm going to get different, better results because I'm doing different activities. So the how you make more money is what we are doing every single day, truly. And it's not going to be instant. We have got to let go of instant gratification. Not everyone is going to message you back immediately, or it might take weeks, it might take months. But the more that you like, a lot of people say like plant more seeds. I like to say, like, leave a little bit of sparkle everywhere you go. So the more sparkle that we're leaving everywhere, right? Like, just think of yourself as like a fairy, and you're like, do 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 do. Here's a little glitter here. Here's a little glitter here. Meaning like you're reaching out to people. You're doing a Facebook Live. You're doing reels. Like you're just like sprinkling all the glitter everywhere. Glitter, even just ask my husband. That shit stays. Like it is always there. Like it shows up, and like sometimes it's like on your butt because you like sat down on a chair and there was glitter there. Sometimes it's like on your eye because you like rubbed your face. Like glitter stays. And so the more we're sprinkling glitter over time, because you're going to be so fucking consistent, it's just going to continue to compound and work for you. This is why the longer you're in business, it starts to feel, I don't want to say easier because, new levels, new devils, but there does breeds more success, right? So when you see somebody that's a little bit more of a seasoned entrepreneur and you're like, oh, it looks so easy for her. It's not that it's easy. She's just done it longer. So she has more trust with her audience, right? She's got a bigger email list, more than likely. She's got a bigger budget. So then she can hire a team. So she doesn't have to be doing all the things. So it's not necessarily gets easier. It's different, but success absolutely does breed more success the longer you play the game. And so we want to make sure we can get you there as fast as possible, because some people that takes them years. Some people can have that reality within 6 months. Like time is up to you, right? Like there's no like in business you have to do it for this long to get this result. It's more so really like who you are, what you're selling, where you're selling it. Like no one is holding you back from making any amount of money this month. Like you could have miracles could happen this month. It's really up to you. And so what I want you to decide for this month is what's that next level of money based on where you're at that feels out of reach. So wherever you're at, let's say you're at $10,000 months, maybe 20,000 feels like a like it's still reachable, but it's like, oh, I'm almost there. It's almost like the thing at the top of the shelf that you can't reach, and you've got to get a ladder, and then you can reach it. That's the number I want you to write down on a Post-it note. And then I want you to decide, okay, what would I need to do in order for me to create that reality? Like, what would I need to sell? What would I need to like, what activities would I need to do to set myself up for success, to increase my odds for success, and really start to dig into what the activities are, and then start to segment those out from a CEO time perspective. Very detailed. Like, okay, on Monday I'm going to do this. On Tuesday I'm going to do this. On Wednesday I'm going to do this. And then you've got to stick to the plan. And I also want you to know it's not our job to figure out the how. Our job is to take aligned action. Every action that you're taking, I want it to be an income producing activity. The more you stay in the administrative role, you are an operator of your business, not an owner of your business. And so the more we can get those things automated, or even hire somebody like 5 hours a week, it's almost like the chicken or the egg. Which one came first? So many people are like, well, I can't afford it. And I'm like, okay, but can you afford not to do it, right? Like we've got to really start looking at your business differently of like, okay, how can I create the money to hire the person 5 hours a week? Because here's the coolest thing that I've learned. When you suck at something, it takes you an infinite amount of more time than somebody that's really good at something. So there's somebody on our team, Sarah. She is like the wizard at administrative things. Like she's like, oh, I already got that done. I'm like, really? Like for real? Like I'm mind blown by her. I'm like, are you an alien? Like what is going on? Because she's so fast. She's like either an alien or a ninja, or maybe both, because she is so incredibly fast. And it was on like before I gave something to her, it was like on my task list forever. So now I just like literally bypassed that cycle of like trying to do it myself, and I just give it immediately to her. So I am staying more in the income producing activity role. I am the CEO. I've got to keep moving this company forward. And she's a big part of that, so I can stay in my lane. So she actually helps me make money because I am able to stay in my lane more, right? So every time that you like almost think of it as like a highway. If you hang out with me, you know I love my analogies because I just think it helps you really realize, abstract things, and I like to simplify things for them to like feel really easy for you to get. So let's say you're on a highway and you're in a car, okay? And there's a lot of cars around you, right? But you're in a car and you keep going to the left lane, to the right lane, to the all the way over lane, right? And you just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Can you imagine if someone was doing that on the freeway? One, they would probably get a ticket, right? If they kept doing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because that's dangerous, right? And they can't stay in one lane. So it's actually going to slow them down to get to their destination faster, right? Because they keep going back and forth instead of just literally going in the fast lane, right? And staying in that lane, you can really go fast because you're not worried about looking over, making sure there's nobody there, right? All of those things. And so this is what you're doing in business because you keep toggling so much. So I don't want you to buy into the BS story that you cannot afford somebody. Can we just not do that anymore? Because me, a few years ago, was not making the money that I am now. I was probably under $1,000. And so we've got to have a growth mindset in order to grow. Doesn't mean you're going to have moments where you're like, oh, I'm nervous. That's normal. But when I knew this because in my past life, I grew an organization, a nonprofit organization to millions of dollars. So I knew I needed help. Like I knew the faster I got help, the faster I would get to my goals. And so I started to reach out to people. I hired my first person for 5 hours a week for $15 an hour. It wasn't a lot, but I said, here's something. Some people like we got to start somewhere. A certain type of person is excited about $15 an hour, right? And then you can grow from there. Both you can grow and they can grow. So pick a number that you feel like you can do that also does feel like good, and let's do it. Like I knew I could handle that. Even if I had to cut out getting my nails done or getting my hair done, like I had to make a sacrifice in order to grow. So like I just don't want you to buy into the BS stories that you can't afford something. Whatever that next thing is, like you can afford it. And we want to like have that mindset and then figure it out. Because the longer you just keep saying it and then keep trying to do things alone yourself, right? We're gonna it's setting you up for failure because it's not what I want for you. The more we can get things off of your plate, the better. One of my first mentors, Shalene Johnson, I bought like all of her programs back in the day, and she said her and her husband were, I think, over $500,000 in debt. And she looked at her husband and she said, if we're going to grow this company, I've got to pay somebody to clean our house and organize it. I know it's going to cost money. I know we're in debt, but this is what I need for my brain to like really explode. And he was like, okay, if that's what you need, then let's do it. And then they completely took off, right? And she talks about that story all the time. I remember that story very, very specifically because she's like, there's no way like we should have done it. Like logically, it doesn't make sense, but she knew it was the thing that she needed. So her mind could be clear. So she could really, really focus on growing the company and not feeling like she was in chaos. And I totally get that now. Like now having kids, I didn't have kids at the time, but now having kids because she had 2 young kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. Like we're constantly in chaos when you have kids. There's messes everywhere, right? It's hard to focus, especially since so many people work from home now. And so I want you to not only think about what that next stretch of money is for this month that feels a little bit out of reach or a lot of it, but then start to have a growth mindset. Because in order to get to that level, you're going to have to do things radically differently, including your mindset, including your team. And it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but that's good, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to hire somebody 40 hours a week, right? I started with 5 hours a week, and I'm telling you, it felt like she was working 20 hours because she was getting so much off of my plate, especially reoccurring tasks that I no longer had to do, and I could focus. When you have so much on your plate, you actually feel like, I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to not do anything. And that's not setting you up for success, right? So just so much to think about. And I'm so excited for you. So, the best thing that you can do for this month is to have a big money goal and then start to become an energetic match for it by taking aligned action that is most likely uncomfortable, but is going to literally set you up for success. That's who I want you to be. That's how I want you to show up, of like, is this going to help me be more successful? And if it's a yes, then we get to figure out the how. It is truly your duty, your obligation, your responsibility. If you know it's going to benefit you and help you get to your goals, it should not be a no. It should be, I get to figure this out. So I don't want you to impulsively say yes and then get yourself in a pickle, but we owe it to your wealthy future self to figure out the way, because as women, we always figure out the how. We are resourceful, literally. We are so resourceful. When our back is against the wall, if like, think of yourself if you've been in childbirth. Think of yourself if like your kids scream, you immediately go to them. Like, we are resilient. We are powerful. It's about time that we actually own that, especially in the money making game, because we are seriously the most powerful on this planet. And when we start to like have that big energy, we're going to show up differently and we're going to get different results, because you're becoming a magnet for everything that you desire, right? We don't have to work so hard. It's making sure that we're showing up, we're taking aligned action, we're putting a little glitter everywhere, right? And that all is going to catch up with you. The more we stick to it, the more we play the game, the bigger that we play the game and pay attention to our time. So I hope today was really, really valuable for you. Set that big money goal, share this with a business friend. I'm so excited for you to crush it this month and every month after. If there's anything that I can do to support you, I'm here. I'm cheering you on. I love you. Make it a great day.